You're listening to The Gary Harris Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
Stock and over 60 pre-owned vehicles. Buy your car even if you don't do business with us. 3200 Skyland Boulevard, East Tuscaloosa. Online at mercedes-tuscaloosa.com.
The Gary Harris Show. UCM host Tider Insider TV, Crimson Tide Kickoff, play-by-play for Alabama sports, and sports director for WVUA 23. It's time for the Gary Harris Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome into the Gary Harris Show for this Thursday, October 17, 2024. I'm your host, Gary Harris, coming to you live from the Cigar Mansion, R&R Cigars, 2703 6th Street, downtown Tuscaloosa, because you know what? It's a cigar game, obviously. It's the third Saturday in October, Alabama and Tennessee. Smoke them if you got them. Light them up when you get the W. That's going to be the plan on Saturday afternoon when Alabama invades the banks of the Tennessee River. They're in Knoxville for a 2:30 kickoff against the Tennessee Volunteers at Neyland Stadium. Alabama is a 2.5, 3-point favorite going into this game, at least today, and the Tide looking to win its 17 out of 18 against its rival Tennessee. Alabama had won 15 in a row under Nick Saban until that heartbreaking loss 2 years ago, but bounced back and won in Tuscaloosa last year. So it's the Tide, 16 out of 17, looking to make it 17 out of 18 on Saturday afternoon. As I said, I'm live here at R&R Cigars at the Mansion. Would love for you to swing by and see me in person. I'm sitting out on the porch. It's a beautiful morning, a little crisp, but inside, buddy, they are ready. And you know what it's all about. It's about relaxing and enjoying one of the world-class cigars, incredible selection of bourbons and other liquors at R&R Cigars here in Tuscaloosa. Also, I am going to be, thanks to my friend Audio Bob from Town Square, going to be letting you register for a pair of Dwight Yoakam tickets for the concert tomorrow night. And all you have to do is stop by. And I'm right outside. The ticket forms are there. Just sign your name and your cell phone number, stick it in the box. And at the end of the show, we're going to draw for a winner for a pair of Dwight Yoakam tickets. So you don't even have to, hang around if you don't want to. If you just want to stop by and say hello, obviously if you want to go inside and warm up, you can do that as well. But we're going to be giving away those pair of Dwight Yoakam tickets. So again, I'd love for you to come by and see me this morning at R&R Cigars, the Mansion, 2703 6th Street in Tuscaloosa. All right, we got a great show on tap for you today. I'm going to run it down in just a moment. But first, I'm going to talk about Alabama Credit Union, and even before I do that, I'm going to say hello to Chase Brumfeld, back in the studio in the control room there at Town Square. Good morning, Chase.
Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Doing well. Now, listen, thankfully, too, Mr. Starner has given me a little space heater out here because it's a little chilly this morning now. I'm not going to lie to you. Yesterday was cool. Today was downright chilly. I know you get up even earlier. You got to be out the door and before 6 a.m. You're at the radio station at 6. So what was it like this morning? I bet it was cold, wasn't it?
Gary, I was like penguining to my car with my coffee in one hand, my oatmeal in the next, ready to get the day going. It is cold.
Well, it is, it's fall, and it feels good, and it is a beautiful morning. It's going to warm up a little bit, be a great day, but it's football weather, man. And I love, Chase, we've talked about it on the show a little bit, and I'm going to get into sports, folks, don't worry. But I love fall weather. And yeah, I'm in sweatpants and, put a t-shirt on. I got a little pullover, a little WVUA 23 pullover. I might should have put on a little heavier jacket, but as I said, R&R's provided me with a space heater out here, so I'm good to go. But it's just beautiful when it's just cool. A bluebird sky like we have this morning seems to even be bluer. It's just something about that cold crispness of a fall morning that just makes it just absolutely beautiful, and that is the case today. All right, before we go any further, let me tell you this hour of the Gary Harris Show, as always, brought to you by my good friends at Alabama Credit Union, member-owned and not-for-profit. It really is just a better way of banking. I encourage you to find out more. Go to their website at alabamacu.com. That's alabamacu.com, or stop by and see them at one of their many locations around the state of Alabama, including the home office right here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Alabama Credit Union loans for real life. Some rules and restrictions do apply. See if you're eligible for membership. Then join today and feel good about your money. And put a little extra change in your pocket. All right, here's the lineup for today. It's the Thursday lineup, and you know what that means. The coach, Ellis Johnson, coming to you at 9:30, breaking down SEC football as only he can. At 10 o'clock, it's the Falcons Report with D. Orlando Ledbetter from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, AJC.com, Atlanta Falcons beat writer. And at 10:30, Jeff Spiegel, sports anchor at ABC 3340 and host of The Zone. And then at 10:50, Chad Sears is going to jump on with us for just a couple of minutes. His son, Mark, preseason SEC Player of the Year, preseason CBS Sports National Player of the Year in college basketball. Alabama guard, took the Tide to the Final Four last year. He is holding a basketball camp this Saturday over in Birmingham, and it's going to be at the Alabama Hoops location, 798 Montclair Road in Birmingham, open to boys and girls grades K through 12. 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. for the K through the 5th, and 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. for the 6th through the 12th. Learn from and interact with star Alabama guard Mark Sears. Chad Sears, his dad, is going to jump on with us there at 10:50 this morning for just a couple of minutes to explain more about this great camp coming up on Saturday. Your phone calls are welcome on the Pinnacle Park and North River hotline. Dial us in at 205-342-9904. That's 205-342-9904. We'd love to hear from you this morning, as always, on the show. All right, of course, obviously the top topic right now in town is Alabama and Tennessee, although obviously Alabama basketball this week. The men were in Birmingham on Tuesday for the SEC media tip-off. The women were in Birmingham yesterday for the SEC media tip-off. Alabama's ranked number 2 in the men's poll in the AP rankings preseason, and the women are ranked number 24. It's the first time that Alabama has been ranked in the AP poll in 25 years, since 1999. How about that one? Let that sink in for a minute. So both basketball teams are a lot of buzz about that. Of course, you've got the charity scrimmage coming up Friday night at Boutwell Auditorium, Alabama and Wake Forest over in Birmingham. But we're going to start off, obviously, with Alabama and Tennessee on the SEC football trail. And been talking about this game a lot on the radio, obviously. I've been talking about it in my sportscast on TV, and been asked about it in town. And I'll do my SEC point spread predictions tomorrow. By the way, as I mentioned earlier in the week, I was 5-2 last week, so I bounced back pretty nicely after a 1-5 week the week prior to that. But I'll go ahead and tell you, if you didn't get to watch Tider Insider TV or see the replay, you can find it at WVUA23.com. I know a lot of people can't watch us right now, again, because of our transmitter situation, which we are working to fix. But I picked Alabama to win it 24-20. And as I'm looking at the line this morning, it still is Alabama -3, over under 56.5. And several people that saw that have asked me, said, wow, you only think there's going to be 44 points? I think this Alabama defense is going to rise up. And that's just, listen, I don't have any inside info or anything like that, although I have talked to a couple people that said practice and preparations are going really well this week. But I think this Alabama defense is talented. And when you look back at the South Carolina game, as I did, the Alabama defense was highly effective in that game for most of the game. There were just a couple little stretches, the biggest being, of course, at the end of the first half when they gave up 12 points in the final minute 37. And then obviously at the end of the game and the opening drive of the third quarter. But for the most part, the Alabama defense did a good job in that game of shutting down South Carolina. I think that this defense is going to play its best game of the year on Saturday afternoon. And I think they're going to lead this team to victory. I mean, obviously you're going to need to score some points. But I think this defense is going to rise up. That's just something that inside of me says Alabama's defense knows what's being said about it, knows what's being written about it, and knows that it's being called the weak link of the team. And I think that this team has the talent and is going to be motivated by the game, the rivalry, and also motivated by the fact that people are questioning whether or not they can do their part to help Alabama become a championship team. And I suspect that after that wild game 2 years ago where we had 100 points total, I think this is going to be a defensive game. Not that there won't be some points. I mean, I got Alabama scoring 24 and Tennessee scoring 20. But I just have a strong feeling that this game's going to be physical And I think Alabama's defense is going to stand up, and that's why I've got them winning the game. So, and I went back and forth on this. This time last week, I was leaning toward picking Tennessee at home. And then Tennessee struggled the way they did against Florida, even though they won the game. And I know you're going to say, well, Alabama struggled against South Carolina. But that Tennessee offense, which we had thought was going to be so prolific, the last two games against Arkansas and Florida did not score a single point in the first half. They were shut out in both first halves against those two teams. Now, they won the Florida game and lost the Arkansas game, but offensively, they were held in check. And I think that's going to continue. So I got Bama winning at 24-20. Hey, I'd love to hear from you. I want you to chime in. Give us a call on the Pinnacle Park at North River hotline at 205-342-9904. And I know it's early. That's the nature of my show, doing it at 9 o'clock. But swing on by the Cigar Mansion at 2703 6th Street, R&R Cigars downtown. Come by and say hello to me. I'm out on the porch. I got a space heater, plenty of seats outside. And sign up for this pair of Dwight Yoakam tickets. We're going to give them away at the end of the show. So if you're out and about, just plenty of parking, both on the street and in the side parking lot here at R&R Cigar Mansion. So stop by and see me. It's 9:14 here on the Gary Harris Show. We're off and running, and we're going to come back with some of your phone calls and more SEC football. And, of course, the Coach Ellis Johnson is going to join us at 9:30 to break it all down like only Coach can. This is the Gary Harris Show coming to you live from R&R Cigar Mansion, 2703 6th Street, downtown Tuscaloosa. We're back after this.
On the Tuscaloosa Thread.
Good Thursday morning. UAPD is investigating a hazing incident at the Pi Kappa Phi fraternity. It occurred earlier this semester. 4 UA students have been arrested and charged criminally for their actions. Alabama law defines hazing as an action that intentionally or recklessly endangers a student's mental or physical health. It is a Class C misdemeanor. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage all throughout the day. It's absolutely free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
As much as Innisfree has evolved, it will always be that place to escape and have a good time. Whether it's for a game day weekend, to reminisce on college days, or to create new memories, if you're looking for a good time, there's only one thing to do. Head to the Free at 1925 University Boulevard. And don't forget about the Lucky Lunch Meat and 3 special. Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. Get a meat and 3 vegetables for just $8.49. Or for a lighter appetite, try the Lucky Lunch Soup, Salad, or Sandwich Combo. I'll see you at the Free. Tuscaloosa's Old Colony Golf Course is an 18-hole championship layout designed by 1976 U.S. Open champion Jerry Pate. Director of Golf John Gray and fitting specialist Bob Montgomery are PGA certified. Mike Shivitz is the head professional and director of the Tuscaloosa Junior Golf Program. Call today to secure
to be. Visit us now to save big and discover why so many are switching to BMW. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
Los Tarascos has been serving Mexican favorites like burritos, fajitas, and quesadillas since 1999. Their new location is at 4100 Owen Parkway in Northport. And, of course, you can find Los Tarascos in Tuscaloosa at 110 Skyland Boulevard. The bar areas feature big screen television so you can enjoy your favorite sporting events. Los Tarascos features daily happy hours.
Shipping to your home on purchases over $25. Your new Academy Sports and Outdoor store is located at 4610 U.S. Highway 280 in Birmingham.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather stays dry through early next week. Lots of sunshine today, the high 67. Clear tonight, the low 42. Tomorrow sunny with a high at 71. And the weekend looks good. Lots of sunshine Saturday and Sunday. Highs between 73 and 76. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 49 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
You're listening to the Gary Harris Show. Your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to the Gary Harris Show. I'm coming to you live from the R&R Cigar Mansion, 2703 6th Street, downtown Tuscaloosa. Stop by and see me. I'm registering anybody that stops by that wants to sign up for a pair of Dwight Yoakam tickets to the concert tomorrow night at the Tuscaloosa Amphitheater. So all you got to do is just stop by and put your name and phone number on one of the little pieces of paper and put it in the box, and we'll draw for it at the end of the show. So looking forward to looking forward to you coming by and seeing me this morning. Also, phone lines are open on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline, 205-342-9904. 205-342-9904 is the phone number if you want to give us a call. Let me hear from my callers this morning. I want to get it going because I got Coach coming on at 9:30. So if you're going to get in this morning, it's a good time to give me a call right now. And yesterday we were lively on the phone, so let's get it going this morning. I want to hear some thoughts on this Alabama-Tennessee game because it really is, to some degree, I feel like an elimination game. Now, I know technically if you lose, you just got 2 losses, and people will say, well, if you went out, you're 10-2 and 10-2 in the SEC. And there's some credence to that. Could get you to a playoff spot. But the reality of it is, too, if with both these teams, if you lose on Saturday to move to 5-2 on the season, then you have no margin for error left. You couldn't drop another one and get to the playoff, in my opinion. I don't think a 3-loss Alabama or Tennessee is going to make the playoff. I just don't. Now, I could be wrong, but that's my feeling. And if you lose, you have to win out. And that's a lot of pressure. And if you can't win Saturday, are you good enough to win the rest of them? So I see this game as a game that, with both of these teams having lost a game now, and I think the feeling after Alabama beat Georgia and Tennessee beat Oklahoma was that both these teams would be undefeated at 6-0 coming into this game. I don't think either the Tennessee fan base or the Alabama fan base thought after their wins with Tennessee over Oklahoma and Alabama over Georgia that either one of these teams would drop a game. Of course, Alabama lost at Vanderbilt and Tennessee lost at Arkansas. Now, they both bounced back last week to win close games. Tennessee pulled it out at home against Florida. Alabama pulled it out at home against South Carolina, which is good because it, still keeps this game. It's important anyway, but it's a lot more important at 5-1 than it would be if both these teams were 4-2 with 2 conference losses. But I think the winner here is the flip side is if you lose, I think you got problems. If you win, I think you're in good shape. And that's the flip side. If you win the game, you move to 6-1, 1 loss in the league, a lot of momentum, still a good opportunity to make it to Atlanta, and everything's rosy. But again, a loss is going to put you behind the 8 ball. So this is a huge game, and it's plus it's Alabama Tennessee. And think about it from the Tennessee perspective for a moment. I know Alabama fans can't relate. I remember when Alabama lost 6 in a row to Auburn, it was you were fit to be tied. Tennessee lost 15 games in a row. 15 in a row to Alabama. Think about that for a moment. One of your main rivals, and you lose 15 games in a row to them. And then 2 years ago, that emotional win on the final play of the game, 51-49 on a field goal, and you broke that streak. It was amazing. Amazing for Tennessee. But then last year, you get right back on the wrong end. So 16 out of 17. Nick Saban's record against Tennessee was 16-1. Let that sink in for a minute now. So if you're Tennessee, other than that incredible euphoria 2 years ago, a lot of Tennessee fans, if you're, let's say, a college student at UT, you don't really know anything in your life other than basically losing to Alabama every year. So for the Tennessee fan base, having this game at home, having Alabama with a first-year coach in Kalen DeBoer, Saban's gone, having Alabama having lost to Vanderbilt, that gives you hope. I think the Tennessee fan base feels like, we got to win this game. We got to win this game for us, for our fans. We want to feel this again. We don't want
Hey, Gary, you there? Okay, we were having technical difficulties. Apologies about that. We're just going to get right down to the phone lines. We have Jim come in. How are you doing, Jim?
All right. We're on the air now?
Yes, you are. How are you doing today?
All right.
What's on your mind today?
Well, I thought, just my thoughts on the game coming up. I mean, I guess if Tennessee comes out to a quick start, it may be a long day for Alabama.
Yeah, I agree. I think if Alabama doesn't come up with the fight they did against Georgia, it's going to be a long one, especially in Neyland Stadium and how raucous they can get. Do you expect Alabama's offense to pick up what they did last game, or do you think they're going to kind of slow down a little bit?
Well, like I say, that it's going to be noisy, and hopefully they won't get, offensive penalties, illegal procedures, stuff like that to put them in a hole early on. Like I said, I think they're going to have to come out and play like they did against Georgia. I mean, not to take 28-0 lead, but stay in the game. And don't let Tennessee come out. Matter of fact, I almost think if they win the toss, they need to take the ball first. And I always think that if you're playing a good offensive team, you take the ball first, because if you don't score, then the other team comes right down, scores. You got two chances to make, to tie it back up. You give Tennessee the ball first, they score a touchdown, and you come out and you have to punt 3 downs, and Tennessee drop back out. They score again. It's a 2-score game already,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Do you have like a breakout player for Alabama, or is it just kind of like a team collective?
I wish they'd, maybe do some more. Steve Spurrier used to be real good, having his receivers doing them, receivers, I don't know what you'd call it, coming around for the handoff, stuff like that every now and then. I wish they'd do that with Ryan Williams some, more. But what would hurt them to even incorporate? They talk about how hard it is to stop Vanderbilt. Now, I know you can't change your whole offense, but how hard would it be to, put a shuffle pass in if that ain't what they do? Just something, different.
Yeah, I think that's the interesting part, especially with teams kind of incorporating that. You're not really used to seeing that, especially against Alabama, because Alabama is known for their top defenses. It's just their DNA. So I think it's important for Alabama to adjust to that, and even like you said, incorporate that. Especially add to it, because if you don't adapt, you perish a little bit, especially with Tennessee and how potent they are. It's going to be an interesting game, Jim. Honestly, I'm a little nervous. I don't really have a score yet. I know I'm going to come prediction soon, but I don't know. Is there anything really you're looking for? Maybe like with the coaching. I know the coaching has been scrutinized a little bit. How are you feeling so far with that?
Well, I'm not, as far as defense, I'm not no expert on that as far as that what 3-3-5 is what they're calling it. Even though it sounds good when you got 5 defensive backs, if you're playing a passing team, but I just feel like they're going to have to do some good man coverage, I just think if they do a zone, something like that, though, that Tennessee's probably going to find the openings,
Yeah, they have. I'm going to probably butcher his name, Nico Amavea. He has struggled a bit against SEC teams. I don't think it'll get any better because Alabama, even though they've had their struggles this season, I think they're going to pick it up, like Gary had said earlier in the show. It's important that our D-line gets after this quarterback. He's a running quarterback. He's a mobile quarterback. He can extend plays that I don't think any other quarterback can do. And if they don't contain that quickly, it is going to be a long day for Alabama's defense. And Kane Wommack's going to have to start answering more questions, unfortunately.
Yeah, I just think, the saying is the best, the way to stop a good quarterback, is pressure him, and you just like as good as Mahomes is, you saw what he looked like against, Tampa Bay in that Super Bowl because they just put all kind of pressure on him, Now they had the defensive players, and I guess Kansas City didn't have the greatest line, but they did what they had to do, and they made Mahomes look average, You just, you can't let a quarterback sit back there. And Alabama looks like they've really done good when they blitz. Now I don't know how many times they can blitz, without tiring out, or whatever. But maybe the best thing to do is to blitz, as much as they can.
Yeah, and that's something that a lot of people are kind of scratching their heads about. When they've blitzed, they looked unstoppable. When they were blitzing Linnell Sellers last week, they flustered South Carolina's offense. Actually forced a fumble on one of the key plays in the game. So I think it is essential, in all capital words, to blitz Nico as much as they can, because if you give him time in the pocket, you've seen it in his games against Oklahoma, a little early in the season as well. He is a problem.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, the good quarterbacks, if they're good, you got to put pressure on them. You just can't let them sit back and pick you apart, Let me ask you this, going back to, all these, how I guess people, these fake injuries, I guess players are doing all the time now. It's commonplace. What would you think about this rule they had that unless you use a timeout on the injury play, if they had to call official timeout to, get you off the field because of an injury, that you can't come back on the field until the next series?
I think that's a tricky one. It's so weird with these rules coming out and kind of changing the game a little bit. I think it's kind of affecting the flow of the game too. It's very tricky. I think this probably would have been better maybe earlier in the season instead of implementing this kind of now. I was hearing about it a little bit with Barry earlier, but yeah, I think it's a weird one with this rule. With any closing thoughts before I have to let you go?
Well, one thing for sure, my prediction: whoever scores the most points is going to win it Saturday.
Exactly. It's good to hear from you, Jim.
All right, man. Have a good
time today. Don't miss being a part of the Sea of Crimson when the Tide hosts conference foes, Auburn, LSU, and South Carolina. The new season tips off on November 4th.
Life doesn't wait for when your finances are in perfect order. It just happens. But no matter what surprises come your way, Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages, and auto loans. They offer an easy application process and fast decisions so you can stay focused on feeling good about whatever life brings your way. Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans.
Better living at First and Main. Visit firstandmaincondos.com or call 205-657-7465. Mention you heard about us on the radio and receive 1 month free rent.
The best sports talk in the state. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, 9:36. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show live from the R&R Cigar Mansion, 2703 6th Street. Hey, listen, technical difficulties happen in the radio business, particularly sometimes when you're on location, and we lost power. But I want to thank Randy Starner from R&R for running up the stairs, down the stairs, and getting us connected back up. Also want to thank Audio Bob this morning for getting us set up in the first place. But we literally, Randy, I guess I talked so loud I just blew a circuit, huh? But we're back up and running. So thank goodness for that. So we apologize for the little bit of technical difficulty we had. Chase, thank you for carrying us over, because we literally went dead in the middle of me talking. But we're back now. We're joined by the coach, Ellis Johnson, on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline. Good morning, Coach. Not only have I been sitting outside a little chilly this morning, then we lost power, but we got it back up in time just for you. How you doing?
Good morning. And Gary, as slow as I talk, you shouldn't need a whole lot of power to keep up.
Well, I appreciate it. Hey, let's dive right in, because we've lost a little bit of time. And Alabama 27, South Carolina 25. I was there. It was one of the more interesting football games that I've seen, because Alabama for most of that first half was in control. They're up 14-0 with less than 2 minutes to go in the half, and South Carolina's facing a 4th and 9 at the Alabama 36. And I give them credit. Go for it. I mean, you're not going to, kick a field goal probably from there. It's been a really long field goal attempt. You don't want to punt. But I thought that was the game. I think if Alabama gets a stop there, they're going to go in at least 14-0 at half. Maybe they go down and score. But South Carolina scored. And then on the kickoff, Alabama got a personal foul on a kickoff that they didn't even return out of the end zone. So they started like their 4-yard line, got a safety. Suddenly it's 14-9. And then they had to kick the ball back, even though the defense forced a turnover. South Carolina picked off Jalen Milroe, and it's 14-12 at half. And then South Carolina scores on an 85-yard drive to start the third quarter, and suddenly they got the lead, 19-14. And from there, it goes down the wire, and Alabama pulls out. But really crazy game. What did you think of it?
I'm not surprised at all. People are going to realize that South Carolina is a very dangerous football team. Their quarterback is just like Jalen Milroe, but he's just a lot younger, and he's making some critical mistakes for him. But he has that kind of skill set. And I think you're exactly right, the way you hit the series of the game and sort of what affected what. Carolina's problem right now is that they'll overall, they play 100 plays, 75 of them be pretty good plays, but they always have some critical times where they, make mistakes, hurt themselves, etc. But they're a very dangerous football team. They're going to ruin some people's seasons on down the line because they have that ability to do so on both sides of the ball. I think Alabama's still a little bit hot and cold on defense. They're not playing consistently well, and offensively they still have so many weapons. They usually get their point, but they really struggled at some times after that first half. I mean, they struggled to put up a lot of successive good plays in a row.
One thing I really liked about South Carolina defensively, and I knew those two edge guys could get after you. They're good up front on defense. I thought they were really good in the back end too. And I wonder, because you're the defensive coordinator, not me, so if I'm wrong, you just tell me. I thought their game plan defensively was, I think most teams when they play against Milroe, they're so afraid of him making a big play. They're so cautious. To me, it felt like they pinned their ears back and said, we're going after this guy. And if he burns us, and a couple of times he did, but, we're gonna get after Jalen Milroe. We're not gonna be passive at all. I thought they had a really aggressive game plan to go after the quarterback, and I thought for the most part it was effective.
Well, that's kind of been their MO all year because they play to the strength of those two kids on the edge, and then they bring quite a bit of pressure. I would think that what they would think against Alabama, I don't know, but they probably felt like the longer he holds that ball back there, the more dangerous it's going to get.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And Jalen gets out of it. Sometimes he hurts you the worst when you have good coverage and you think you're going to get one of those coverage sacks, and all of a sudden one of those guys can't get him on the ground and he runs for 40. So they certainly match up with a lot of teams in this league, Gary. They're not a bad football team at all, but they're sitting here looking in the mirror at 3-3. So still got to go to Texas A&M. Still got Texas A&M and have to go to Vandy. Got Clemson on the end of it. I think South Carolina has a very good chance to upset Oklahoma this weekend.
Let's get to Tennessee and Florida, because again, we're going to set this up for Tennessee, Alabama in a moment. But Florida's up 3-0 at the half and had to just be sick. I mean, they dominated that first half of football. And I mean, again, I don't want to put it all on Billy Napier, but you got to have a bigger lead than that. And you felt like it would come back to bite them. It did, but again, they had some issues with personnel. They got too many people on the field on a field goal attempt. It just seems to me that physically, they were good enough to win that football game on Saturday night. What did you see? Obviously Tennessee will take it, but I thought that was more about what Florida didn't do in that game than what Tennessee did, because I thought Florida had a good plan and I thought executed physically in the game well. They just shoot themselves in the foot a lot.
Yeah, and this has been about 3 weeks in a row, if not more. Tennessee's offense is not in gear, and I can't put my finger on it. We talk about it each week. The quarterback's stats and so forth are very, very average. He's supposed to be a really good player. They're not hitting the vertical balls, and it's causing them some issues with the running game because they can't get people out of the box. But they've had that issue going on for 2 or 3 weeks. But I think Florida's defense played a heck of a game. But you already hit it on the head. They fumbled the ball on the 1 yard line, and then right before the half, they get a 12-minute or a substitution penalty on a field goal. And because of the 10-second runoff rule, they don't even get to kick at it again. So not only was it a penalty, it took points off the board. So, they're their own worst enemy right now. And they are getting better, I think. And of course, they got the quarterback hurt. It looks like the Lagway kid may have to take it the rest of the way now.
All right, one more game I want to ask you about from last week, and then we're going to get to this week's games. Got to give it to Vanderbilt. They wanted to prove they weren't a one-trick pony, and they followed up that that Alabama win by going to Lexington and getting a win against Kentucky. I mean, as big as the Alabama win was, as you and I have talked about, what do you do with it? And they followed up and got another big win on the road. This Vanderbilt team's for real.
Actually, they got 4 wins, and 3 of them at Kentucky, Virginia Tech, and Alabama. So, one's Alcorn, but they're not getting those wins over 1AA teams. They beat Kentucky with Stoops ball. And what I mean by that, they made less penalties, and they didn't turn the ball over as much. And they were only +1, but they were +1 in turnovers, and Kentucky continually stopped themselves. One of the craziest things, this ball game had 108 total snaps. It'd be like watching the World Series game. You'd have to have something to eat between batters to keep your interest. But they only ran 52 plays and managed to score 20 points. And they just had their own little way of winning. But right now they're playing with confidence. And they've got players. They're not as talented as some of these other teams are, but they've got players in some critical spots. And they know how to win now, and they believe they can win.
Yeah, they do. All right, let's get to the weekend ahead, and obviously we'll get to Alabama and Tennessee in a moment. But I want to look at some of these other matchups, and clearly Georgia and Texas out in Austin is as big as Alabama and Tennessee is. This is the marquee game in the country. You got the number 1 ranked Longhorns, 5th ranked Georgia. Georgia really can't afford another loss. Well, I mean, I guess technically they can, being that would be Alabama and Texas, but still. If Georgia's going to have a chance to get to Atlanta, they probably need to win this game. Texas is, I think, the best team in the country. I think they're appropriately ranked, Coach. And I think when you look at their team, they seem to have it in all 3 phases. They're a 5-point favorite. Kind of break down this matchup for us.
Yeah, it's hard to pick against Georgia, but Texas right now, I think, has better skilled people on offense, more explosive. Their defense has been awesome. And I thought they'd be flashy, but, boy, they're physical, too. And I just think it's going to be very tough. Georgia has not played. The last 4 games have been somewhat average, especially offensively. Kentucky, they were fortunate to get off the field with a win. They came out against Alabama. They weren't ready to play or something, but Alabama exploded on them. They got it back, but then they lost it at the end. They basically played Auburn even, statistically. So, they weren't great that game. And then Mississippi State was solid, but not really impressive. So I haven't really seen their offense play a dominant football game against a real good opponent in 4 weeks. And I really think going out there and playing against Texas, unless Texas, does something to give them a shot, I just don't think they can beat Texas at Texas.
I'm with you. I just don't. All right, let's look at some of these other matchups that we got coming up on Saturday before we get to Bama and Tennessee. LSU at Arkansas. And boy, LSU led for 1 play in that game against Ole Miss, but it was the right play, the touchdown pass in overtime. So, give them credit. And they've gotten a lot better on defense. But now they go to Arkansas, and we know this Arkansas team's capable. They're going to be sitting there waiting for LSU in Fayetteville. This is a big game.
Yeah, I think Arkansas's had an open date to get ready.
They did. Yeah.
So that's not going to hurt them at all. And I thought we'd want to talk about this LSU Ole Miss game earlier, man. I'm telling you, that thing, I had to take a shower after that thing was over.
Yeah.
But it was a really good game, and I thought the way LSU won it was really impressive. They like you said, they didn't win until the last end of the game. And I mean, they were trailing the whole time. But they sacked Darts 6 times. I think it caused them to throw an interception and got a fumble off of him. And they're playing better defense than they have been. Well, at least they did against Ole Miss. You hold Ole Miss for 26, and you're playing pretty good football. So hopefully, if they can take the defense with them, as they say, defense travels, they've got a shot to beat Arkansas. Now, Arkansas, I think they're solid on defense, and LSU will have to play better than they did last week on offense to do it. I think LSU is going to pull out a win, but I think it's going to be a really, really good ball game.
Yeah, I do too, and I think that one's going to go down to the wire. All right, you've got Texas A&M, which has the one loss to Notre Dame outside of the league. They're unbeaten in the conference and playing great. Mississippi State, with the freshman quarterback, they played well at Georgia. I mean, scored 31 points in the game, got beat 41-31. They're at home. They seem to be improving. And, I think a lot of people felt like when they had to go to the freshman quarterback, it might be the end. But this kid seems like he's a playmaker. Do you give them any shot at home against the Aggies?
I don't, but I don't think it's because they're a terrible team. I just think Texas A&M right now, I've been watching them. They've kind of been in the back of my mind for about 3 or 4 weeks. Gary, they have not lost an SEC game. They've got their quarterback back. They found a little bit of balance in their offense last game, and they seem to be playing a lot better. And they're good on defense. And when you look at the schedule, they got all the toughies coming to College Station to finish out the season. So, I mean, they're looking at the best track right now to sneak in the back door. It could be Texas versus Texas A&M that very last game. And if it's close, or if they beat Texas, both of them may play for the SEC the next week. And then they may even end up playing again in the playoffs. So I don't want to get too far ahead, but Texas A&M has a lot right now in front of them, and I just don't see them having a letdown against Mississippi State.
Auburn's coming off a bye week, and, kind of are what your record says you are, and they're a 4-loss team, 0-3 in the SEC. Going to Missouri, Missouri laid an egg at A&M. What do you think here? There's a lot of people I've talked to that said they think Auburn could go up there and win the game.
Yeah, I think they might do it. I hope the open date has helped them to get some confidence and get some other things ironed out. Missouri has been going in the wrong direction. Now, I know they beat UMass last week, and they maybe got some things straightened out, but they've had 2-3 weeks of very average football, and Brady Cook has not been playing well. I don't feel like what they did to UMass is a real good indication of how good they are. I just think that we're so much more talented. But if Auburn can play the way they played at Georgia and the way they played a couple other games, but also learn to finish out some drives, hit a key field goal, don't turn the ball over in the red zone, just finish some drives. I think they're a better football team than Missouri.
And you talk about a couple of teams that need a win. Florida and Kentucky both need one badly. UK goes to Gainesville on Saturday night.
Well, that's a hard one to pick. I think you got two teams that kind of both heading in the wrong direction. And I don't know. This was very hard to pick. I sort of think Kentucky's going to beat them, but they're on the road in Florida. Florida's already lost a home game or two. A difficult one to pick, but I really think Kentucky probably beat them.
And LSU already said you think South Carolina can go to Norman and pull the upset on Oklahoma?
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to which young quarterback makes the fewest mistakes against a defense on the other side. It's going to put a lot of pressure on them. The one thing Oklahoma's got going, they are a little bit better on defense than South Carolina. They've been more consistent throughout the season. But both of them are pretty dangerous on defense. Both of them are playing young quarterbacks. So it's going to depend on which one of them can handle that game environment.
And finally, third Saturday in October, Tennessee hosts Alabama. Saban had gone 15-0 against the Vols until 2 years ago, and Tennessee in that crazy game, 51-49, Bama bounced back and won again last year. So it's 16 out of 17 for Alabama against Tennessee, and they're favored by a field goal on Saturday afternoon, which is surprising to me at Tennessee. You already alluded to it. Tennessee's offense the last couple of weeks has gotten stagnant. Alabama's got questions on defense. Give us the breakdown here.
That one I've gone back and forth. Again, one time I think this, think that. I'm going to go back and say that Tennessee's defense has been consistent and really good throughout the season, and I think they're going to be the key factor in it, and I believe Tennessee will probably win.
Oh, you just broke some hearts with that prediction. All right, let's say.
Well, if they knew my record, Gary, they probably. I'm glad.
Well, let's work under that premise, because we got another minute or two here that I can spend with you. Mm-hmm. Working under that premise that you think Tennessee is going to win the game, what does Alabama need to do to pull that victory away from Tennessee? Based on what you've seen, you like Tennessee's defense. What does Alabama need to do to go up there and win the game?
Well, one thing Tennessee has not done well lately is their offense has not been in gear. They've not been real smooth, and people have been able to slow them down a little bit. And I think the two main reasons are they're getting some takeaways and they're getting some penalties. and that slows down that high-pace offense they like to run. But Alabama's got to play more consistent on defense, and then on offense, they just need to make sure they don't turn the ball over. Because Tennessee's defense, I think, is for real. I think they've played extremely well. Even when Tennessee's offense started fading a little bit, they've still been really good on the other side of the ball. So I just think the key is finding a way to get points on that defense. If they get it, if they score, get up in the high 20s against Tennessee's defense, and they'll probably win the game. But I've got to see it, to see it happen.
All right, Coach, a great breakdown as always. It's going to be another fun weekend of college football. I mean, that's, I guess, the way this thing now is set up. Of course, I'm not usually at a game, although I'm not going to Knoxville, but with ABC and all the ESPNs having all the SEC games, I mean, you never have to leave your house, do you? I mean, you can pretty much watch every game between the SEC Network, ESPN 1 and 2, and ABC. It's amazing viewing menu for the TV viewer every week. It's crazy.
It really is. I have a hard time watching the ball, and keeping up with it. And if you look at it now, all the national really good matchups this week, other than Michigan, Illinois, they're in the SEC this week.
Yeah, they are.
So it's going to be a big week. And then all of the point spreads except for A&M and State. That is kind of lopsided, but the rest of them are really, really close, even with the bookies. So this is going to be a big weekend. There's going to be a lot of movement.
You're going to be given that picture in the screen where you pull up about 4 games at one time, a workout. Hey, thank you, Coach.
I tell you what, Saturday night, I can't remember the 4 teams were all late that night, but it was ridiculous. I mean, your eyes would be going in a circle, and of course, you always miss the best plays.
I appreciate it. Talk to you next week.
Enjoy it, Gary.
All right, Ellis Johnson with us. 9:54. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back from the R&R Cigar Mansion, 2703 6th Street, downtown Tuscaloosa, and wrap up this first hour. Get you ready for hour number 2. Come by and see me. I know it's early, but it's warming up nicely. It's a beautiful morning. Stop on by and register for these Dwight Yoakam tickets. We've had a couple people register, but we're going to give them away at the end of the show. So swing on by and see me at the R&R Cigar Mansion. We'll be back to wrap up hour number 1 right after this.
If you haven't already, you've got to try Tuscaloosa's unique breakfast, brunch, and lunch concept. Brick and Spoon, downtown Tuscaloosa at Timerson Square. It's fresh food with a Cajun flair featuring a full bar with build-your-own Bloody Marys and mimosas. Open daily, 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. Available for after-hours events.
It's to win a brand new Jeep Gladiator. Ride right into the holiday season in style. It's all treats and no tricks this month at Pearl River Resorts. Must be 21 or older to play.
Since 2011, Billy's Sports Grill, located on Main Avenue in historic downtown Northport, has been serving their legendary signature chicken sandwich, award-winning wings, and handcrafted cocktails. Billy's is also the spot to watch all your favorite sporting events with big screen, high-definition televisions, both dining rooms, at the bar, and outside on the beautiful patio. Come by and say hello to Kim and Lisa, the Billy's Management Dream Team. Billy's, good food, good friends, and good time.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather stays dry through early next week. Lots of sunshine today, the high 67. Clear tonight, the low 42. Tomorrow sunny with a high of 71. And the weekend looks good. Lots of sunshine Saturday and Sunday. Highs between 73 and 76. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3240 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 52 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Covering University of Alabama sports, as well as the national and local scene as well. The Gary Harris Show, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, 9:58, about to wrap up this first hour. A reminder that tomorrow morning I'll be live at Innisfree Irish Pub on University Boulevard in Tuscaloosa, and we'll be giving away that Tennessee Rocky Stop print, Roman Harper from the 2005 Alabama-Tennessee game from Daniel Moore, courtesy of T-Town Menswear and T-Town Gallery in the University Mall. So we're looking forward to that. And I'm live for another hour at the R&R Cigar Mansion, 2703 6th Street. Stop by and see us, man. It's warming up, and I'm out here on the porch, but inside it's nice and warm. They got all those cigars ready to be sold for the third Saturday in October. Stop on by and see us. Hour number 2 is coming up. This hour has been brought to you by Alabama Credit Union. I'll talk to you again in a couple of minutes. Right? 0.9 FM.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Kevin Wyatt.
Major League Baseball National League Championship Series Game 3 goes to the Dodgers. As for the second time in those 3 games, they shut out the New York Mets, winning it on Wednesday 8-0 to take a 2-1 lead in this best-of-7 series. Kike Hernandez continuing to shine in October as he went deep for his 15th career postseason home run. Shohei Ohtani and Max Muncy also going it deep for Los Angeles. And in the WNBA, Sabrina Ionescu's legend continues to grow.
8 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter of Game 3. 4 seconds. Ionescu will heave and hit! Sabrina Ionescu with the biggest.
Free shipping to your home on purchases over $25. Your new Academy Sports and Outdoor store is located at 4610 U.S. Highway 280 in Birmingham.
The Gary Harris Show. UCM host Tider Insider TV, Crimson Tide Kickoff, play-by-play for Alabama sports, and sports director for WVUA 23. It's time for the Gary Harris Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, here we go. Hour number 2 of the Gary Harris Show. I'm coming to you live from the R&R Cigar Mansion, 2703 6th Street. Smoke them if you got them. And one fan base is going to be doing that on Saturday afternoon. We feel like it's going to be Alabama. So come on by here this morning and get your cigars. Get ready for the third Saturday in October with Alabama and Tennessee. And it's a beautiful morning. Football weather is here, and we're going to be talking some NFL football now with my friend D. Orlando Ledbetter, Atlanta Falcons beat writer for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, AJC.com. And by the way, getting set to speak to an assembly at Howard University. Good morning, Orlando. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Gary. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, I appreciate you being such a professional and working us in. And before we get to the Falcons, this is a big deal, getting to speak at Howard University. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah, I was the editor-in-chief back in the 80s there, and it's at the 100-year anniversary for the Hilltop Student newspaper, and so we're having a centennial workshop for students and the community. I'll be heading up the sports panel on the folks that are interested in the sports business and sports media.
Awesome, man. All right, we're going to get you off here about 10:15 so you can get to that. All right, let's talk Falcons football. And, boy, that first round of NFC South games, Saints, Bucks, Panthers, all went the Falcons' way. They're 4-2. They're in first place in the NFC South, and they've already got wins, as I said, over their NFC South counterparts. Now, there's another round to go, but best case scenario, particularly with the fact that the Falcons, started off 1-2 with 2 home losses. They have bounced back nicely against the NFC South, and they're in good position.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Gary. They're clearly putting some things together. They had a chance to kick this game away, but they didn't do that. The Panthers were driving. They were running the ball on them. It was 28-20 in a one-score game. A.J. Terrell steps in front of a ball intended for Ian Thomas, and then the offense comes out and just starts pushing the Panthers down the field in 8 plays. They started with an 18-yard run by Tyler Algier, and that just gave them momentum to really attack the Panthers. When the Panthers knew that time to put up or shut up with the Panthers, they were letting them hang around, and they put their foot down and won it going away, 38-20.
Yeah, they did, and now they get another home game. This is the 5th home game for the Falcons already against the Seattle team that started fast but has faded a little bit, and we know how it is in this league. When you're at home, you want to make some hay, and that's an opportunity to do that on Sunday, but this Seattle team is going to be hungry for a win.
Yeah, no doubt. They started out winning their first 3, but against, a lesser competition. Bo Nix in his first game was one of them. So they've fallen on hard times as the competition has stepped up, losing 36-24 to the Niners on Thursday Night Football. So they are well rested. They got some offensive firepower, but I don't think it's a defense that will hold up to the run against the Falcons. So the Falcons should be in pretty good shape on Sunday.
Yeah, you mentioned the Falcons. The things are starting to come together. And again, you've been a big proponent of the Kirk Cousins signings from the get-go. I'll be honest with you, I was skeptical of it. 36 years old, even though he's been a nice player in the league, only one playoff win. But you saw what he could do. And this team offensively now, they've got it. They've got the running game, two good backs. They've got a tight end. I've got receivers, and Cousins is doing exactly what you thought he would, in that he's spreading the ball around and he's looking every bit the pro. And after what we've seen the last couple of years from the Falcons at quarterback, it's worked out very, very well. And it looks like it's been a huge signing and upgrade for Atlanta.
Yeah, no doubt. It's very refreshing. And then we're starting to get stories about how Michael Penix is lighting it up in practice too. So, all around good moves at the quarterback position. And what we're seeing is that he's running through Drake London. He's had double-digit targets in each of the last 3 games. Once he establishes Drake, then he can start moving folks around. Kyle Pitts, they just left him open once on the 52-yarder because they were so worried about Drake. So Kirk, I was like, hey, where was that? Where were you working with Pitts? He's like, well, they just left him. He's figuring it out, working with his guys and so forth.
All right, Orlando, there's a lot of football to be played, clearly. But after going through this first round of NFC South games and winning them all, would you say, and we know Tampa Bay's still explosive, the Saints without Carr right now, after their fast start, boy, they've quickly faded, and the Panthers are the Panthers. Are the Falcons the favorite to win this division right now?
I still want to say no, just because, they had to come back and take that one from the Bucs at home in overtime. The Bucs rebounded nicely last week, just looking like a real fierce competitor. And then they'll get to see the Falcons next Sunday. So they'll be done with each other here. And it's going to be the matter of the tiebreakers and the conference records from here on out. But that's still a good Tampa Bay team, and till you knock them off twice, you can't really start beating your chest too much, because you really squeezed by last time in a game where you had a 4.7% probability of winning after that fourth quarter interception. So got to remember that they barely won that one, and they got to go to Tampa next week.
Another move that looks like it's working out so well so far is Raheem Morris. That was another one. I thought, man, if Bill Belichick's available and he wants to come coach your team, I was Arthur Blank. I probably would have gone Bill Belichick. They didn't. And at least so far, Raheem Morris, you said you thought he had learned a lot since his last go-around as a head coach. And, again, there's a lot of football left, but that move is looking pretty good at the moment, too. He seems to be really a calm influence and as you said, a much better head coach this time around.
Yeah, I kind of suspected. I knew, talking to, the coaches, Coach Quinn and Les Snead out at the Rams, they were like, oh, he's ready. He's been waiting for this opportunity. They were just so happy that he got it. And you've seen that calmness, that assuredness that he's able to stand in front of his team and talk about how he wants them to play and how the coaches are going to help him get there. And so far, it's been working out. He's going up against Mike McDonald, local kid from Roswell, Georgia, who, also interviewed for his job. But, yeah, Belichick, I think that was just a move because the owner wanted to be relevant again. And his people talked him out of that as the best football move, the best move for the organization, was to go with and give Raheem a second opportunity and not go with the name coach just to get your team back on national TV.
It's worked out so far, so good. All right, before I let you go, I want to ask, since you're kind of in the Beltway area up there at Howard, I want to ask you about the Ravens Commanders last week. Really good football game. And Derrick Henry, at 30 years of age, and after that first game, there were a lot of people, even when the Ravens signed him, that said, well, he's not going to be what he was, and how's that going to work out with Lamar? Boy, Derrick Henry looks really good, doesn't he?
Yeah, no doubt about it. They're blocking really good for him, and, Rashard is lead blocking for him, and he's still got the speed to take it to the house, making Dallas look real silly for not trying to sign him. and other teams too. But yeah, Derrick Henry is off to a great start. And I'm going to go see Dan Quinn and the Commanders tomorrow. So they're off to a good start, too. They had a good account of themselves in that game with the fabulous rookie quarterback. So, yeah, looking forward. They're excited about the football up this way right now.
Yeah, Jayden Daniels has been phenomenal. All right, lastly, and you and I have discussed this, we both agree the quality of football, because of the rules with the NFLPA, because of the lack of exhibition games, because of the lack of practice, quality of football, I think you and I both feel like isn't what it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. But it's entertaining. And all these games seem like they go down to the wire. TV ratings are off the charts, more money than ever. So I guess from a league standpoint, from the National Football League, Roger Goodell standpoint, they're getting what they want. And it's an entertainment business. The games are very entertaining, even though I think you agree with me that the quality of play is probably not what it should be. It's sloppy at times, but when you get entertaining football with great athletes going down the wire every week, that's providing what the NFL wants. Is that the way you see it? Even though it's probably not as fundamentally a sound a game as it once was, the entertainment value is there.
Yeah, no doubt. And got to meet with Roger Goodell this week in Atlanta. They on Tuesday awarded the city the Super Bowl, and and one of the things they were talking about was scoring being up, injuries being down on the dynamic kickoff. Players are going out to the 40-yard line. They're really excited about the changes to the game. But yeah, if you're and the ratings and the money that follows. But yeah, if you're watching it, you're still seeing 6 weeks into the season, 12 men on the field penalties, false starts, just stuff that should be cleaned up by the time you get to the regular season. So, and Rich Gannon was on the Sirius XM just going off on Monday about how bad the offenses are, and they're looking like a bunch of college offenses, not well coordinated and so forth. So it's not just us, but the fans love it. They keep tuning in and they keep making money, so the league is happy.
Indeed, they are. All right, great stuff as always, Orlando. And in the final minute, go ahead and let everybody know how they can follow you if they choose to do so.
Yeah, our stories are on AJC.com, and you can follow, push out most of everything on the Twitter at @DOrlandoAJC. Thank you so much, Gary.
Thank you, Orlando. Have a great workshop. Talk to you next week.
All right, Gary. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, 10:13 here on the Gary Harris Show, live from R&R Cigar Mansion, 2703 6th Street. A few people have come in already getting their cigars for Saturday. You gotta, have confidence when you're Alabama against Tennessee. I mean, they won 16 of the last 17. So get on by here, get your cigar, hang out with us for a little bit. Still gonna give away a pair of tickets. Only had a couple of qualifiers, but we're gonna give away a pair of tickets for this Dwight Yoakam concert tomorrow night at the Mercedes-Benz Amphitheater. So if you get by, you're going to have a good chance to win them. Like I said, 2 qualifiers is all we've had. So swing on by, just put your name and phone number on this piece of paper, drop it in the box, and I'm going to draw for a winner. Whether we have 2 qualifiers or we have 10. So get by and see us. All right, it's 10:14 here on the program. And I know when we lost power earlier, we had a couple of phone callers waiting to go. And obviously we had to pivot. And thanks to Randy Starner for getting us back up, powered up here. But next segment, we're wide open for phone calls. We got Jeff Spiegel coming up at 10:30. But we're wide open for your calls. So go ahead and give us a call on the Pinnacle Park at North River hotline. Sorry that we couldn't get to you earlier. It just so happened that we just went dead. 205-342-9904, but we're up and running full speed now. 205-342-9904 is the number on the Pinnacle Park at North River hotline. So go ahead and give us a call. I want to take your phone calls in the next segment. Gary Harris here at R&R Cigar Mansion. Chase Brumfeld back in our...
Tell all your people to come out, laugh, and support a great cause against breast cancer. October 19th at 7 o'clock at the Shindig Family Entertainment Center. For more info, tap that free app.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather stays dry through early next week. Lots of sunshine today, the high 67. Clear tonight, the low 42. Tomorrow sunny with a high at 71. And the weekend looks good. Lots of sunshine Saturday and Sunday. Highs between 73 and 76. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 55 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Catch every game and every moment right here. This is your home of Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
10:18. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show live from the R&R Cigar Mansion, 2703 6th Street. Swing on by and see us. It's I'm out here on the porch, but it's warmed up nicely. I've only had, like I said, I'm going to give away these Dwight Yoakam tickets, Randy, whether we have 10 people or we've only had 2 people qualified. Somebody's getting them. So swing on by and just put your name and phone number on that little sheet of paper, and we'll give them away at the end of the show. Randy Starner joins us now from R&R Cigars, and the mansion is just worth coming by. Even if you're not a cigar smoker or a bourbon drinker, it's worth coming by just to see it. That's how nice it is. And you were telling me during the break, Randy Starner joins us now, that this might have been the first home in Tuscaloosa to have electricity.
We've heard that. We don't know that for certain, but there are times we see evidence of.
We might have seen it today, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just rocking and rolling along here, and then I'm like, oh boy! But you hustled out here. You still got.
I've practiced.
You still got some life in those legs. You can fly down those stairs.
Yeah, so I have some practice. Probably Big Al here, got a little, lost a little energy there for a few
Well, he looks good now. He's back up full speed. All right. Obviously, everybody I think in Tuscaloosa that knows, that smokes cigars or likes a good bourbon knows about this place. But if they don't, this is a good time to find out. Yeah. It's a cigar week. It's Alabama, Tennessee. Smoke them if you got them. And in addition to the cigars and the different liquors and bourbons and liqueurs, you're going to have the game on, too.
Yeah, sure. If there's no better place to watch matter of fact, to me, I'd rather watch the game here than in Knoxville for certain. But we have this is the one of the fun things about this time of year is there are a lot of people that come by, and the last time they came into R&R Cigars was the week before the Tennessee game last year.
For some people, it is a once-a-year
It's a once-a-year thing. And we're fine. If you're going to smoke one cigar a year, buy it from R&R Cigars. We are proud to be the cigar merchant to those once-a-year customers. People think that the cigar business is just a bunch of old men, sitting around spitting whittle or whatever sometimes. And
not the case at all.
No, we have people that come once a month with friends because it's a fun night out. Mm-hmm. And that's the only cigar they'll have that month. And so most American cigar smokers smoke 1 to 5 cigars a month. Mm-hmm. It's very unusual. There are people that smoke a cigar every day. Yeah. But it's not nearly as prolific as some people think.
And what's really neat about the Cigar Mansion and you and your staff and Reagan and all the folks here is I'm not a cigar smoker, but for a special occasion like an Alabama Tennessee game, like you said, you don't have to be a cigar smoker. And I know a lot of people, believe it or not, Randy, you're in this business, you probably do see it. Some people are a little bit shy or bashful. If they're not a cigar smoker, they almost don't want to be looked at as naive or ignorant about it, but there's no such thing. You come here, all you have to say is, listen, I don't smoke cigars, but I'm going to smoke one for this game. You got the expertise. You can help them, if they've got a flavor or a taste or don't want anything too strong or they want, something not too much. You're going to help hook them up with what they need and show them how to trim it, light it, and smoke it.
Right. I'm old enough to remember going into a cigar store and feeling intimidated because I didn't know anything about what they and the person in the cigar store was very proud of how much more he knew than me. And the intimidation was of such a type that I actually left without buying anything.
So you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Exactly. And so R&R Cigars is Reagan and I talking about things we liked and didn't like at cigar merchants literally around the world and building a location that is free of pretense. We're not the wine snobs of cigars.
Right.
Cigars are meant to be enjoyed. And I'm sure most many people in your audience enjoy wine. Many people in your audience enjoy bourbon. But very few people in your audience are wine snobs or bourbon snobs.
That's right. That's right.
And when people start trying to impress you with how much they know about wine or how much they know about bourbon, the people that do that don't understand how it turns off the people around them, right?
Yeah.
And we understand how that turns off the people around them. We're here to help people pick out a cigar that they will enjoy. If they're going to have one cigar a year, we want them to enjoy it, and we want them to come back next year and say, I had so much fun smoking that cigar after the Tennessee game last year. And as much fun as they had, most of them still don't have another one until the next year at Tennessee, but they look forward to that. So we love our customers. Whether they smoke one cigar a year or no cigars a year. When we greet people at the door, we ask them, what are you smoking today? And few people a week will come in the door and go, I'm not smoking anything. I just want something from the bar.
Yeah, just want to hang out in this beautiful mansion.
Yeah, and we have a beautiful bar here. A lot of people don't understand. We have one of the best whiskey selections in this city, and this city has some great bars with great selections, and we feel we are proud to be one of them. So we have a great beer selection, great whiskey selection, of course a great cigar selection, delivered without pretense.
That's right. Well, I'm glad you covered that so well, because I wanted to cover that with you, because I have had a lot of people tell me, well, I don't know anything about cigars. Well, that's the whole idea, that you guys are going to help them learn if they want to.
Yeah, you don't have, and really, if you don't want to learn anything, that's fine too. We're here to help you enjoy it. We're not here to teach, we're not going to teach you how they planted the seeds and what Farmer Juan and
you're presenting the finished product.
Yes, that's right. And we promise we'll connect you with something that you will enjoy, because it's usually about the experience, who you're with, and what's the occasion that makes it so good. And so you're with friends. Alabama just beat Tennessee. It's almost impossible for the cigar to be bad.
That's right. Yeah. Listen, and there are those people, and I get it, that just want to put one on their mouth and chew on it after the game. They don't even want to line it up.
One particularly significant person that I can think of is Coach Saban.
Yeah.
Last year, Reagan had a pass, and Jenny Dell from CBS talked to Reagan on the sidelines, and Reagan gave her one of his Casa de las Estrellas cigars. And Jenny Dell said, well, if Alabama wins, I'll give it to Coach Saban after the game. And after the game, she gave it to him. And we got a picture of Nick Saban accepting a cigar from Jenny Dell.
Oh, it went viral.
Yes.
That clip went viral.
And the manufacturer of the cigars that make those cigars for us made a nice picture, put it in a frame, and sent it to us. But it's the only picture we have of Nick Saban with a cigar in all the years that he was here.
Right.
But he was smiling. He had a cigar, and he was having fun. And he said, I may not light it, but I'm going to chew it for a while. It's like, you know what? That's good enough. We'll take it.
Absolutely. And, what a nice hit of publicity. And it was his final Alabama-Tennessee game.
It was.
We didn't know it at the time.
We didn't know it at the time. And if anybody deserved to go out when they wanted to, it was certainly Coach Saban. And he was supportive. I mean, the program at any point could say, no, we're not doing this anymore, and we've gotten good indications that the program still likes the tradition, and we of course love the tradition. We do believe that we've been influential in the city in helping to rebuild that, but nothing's been more influential in helping build the city than Vanderbilt and Tennessee having the same record against Alabama over the last 16 years. So, right? I mean, that's
right. Now,
like,
Vanderbilt's got to win.
Yeah. So,
Well, I'm glad I could visit with you a couple of minutes. Before we close it out, I think you covered a lot of ground here, and it's just such a neat place. I'm relaxed just sitting here on the porch.
It's beautiful. Now that it's warmed up a little.
Yeah, and it was a little chilly first, but you do have a lot of regulars. You got a lot of customers that are, regular cigar smokers, and this is the place they want to come. What do you have? Do you have like a club? Do you have specials for guys that smoke more than one occasionally that, they get a package or anything that works toward, your regulars?
To me, we're not a restaurant, right? But it's a place that you go, for most of our customers, it's a place you go occasionally. It's like, I like to go to the Olive Garden to pick a generic location. But I don't go there every day. I don't go there every week. I don't even necessarily go there every month. But I go and I like it.
But it's on your list of places that you do go.
That I like to go. Yeah. And I think for a lot of people, R&R Cigars is on the list of places that they like to go. And so somebody will say, it's Friday night, let's go out, do something tonight. We went to R&R last month, and that was a lot of fun. Let's do that tonight. Yeah, that's fine. And then there are people that come in, nearly every day. For people that smoke a lot of cigars, we have special deals for the purchase of a box of cigars. For people that need to store cigars, we have deals to help them keep cigars fresh here at the mansion. But that gets down into the weeds compared to most of our customers. So,
well, Randy, I'm loving our remote this morning. This has been fun. I'm hoping before I get out of here now, even though, like I said, I'm not a cigar smoker, but it is Alabama, Tennessee. I'm hoping maybe I'll leave the premises with one before.
There you go. I sure hope that you get to smoke it on Saturday.
Oh, I do too. Yeah. My gosh.
Beat Tennessee.
Hey, you don't have to be in the cigar business to hope Alabama wins that game on Saturday.
Was it Reagan said, I hate Auburn because I have to. I hate Tennessee because I want to.
There you go. Thank you, Randy. All right, we're going to take a timeout, and we'll come back with Jeff Spiegel, ABC 3340.
Storage solutions, project and warehouse management, arc flash studies, and more. Visit CED in Tuscaloosa, Coleman, and Decatur, and All Phase Electric Supply in Albertville and Huntsville.
You see him on WVUA 23 covering sports and on Tider Insider TV on Tuesday nights. Don't miss a minute of the Gary Harris Show. Weekdays from 9 to 11 on Tide 100.9.
It's 10:33 here on the Gary Harris Show, and we're back live at R&R Cigar Mansion, 2703 6th Street. Enjoy that visit with Randy Starner from R&R Cigars. Smoke them if you got them, and Alabama fans are certainly hoping they get to smoke them again on Saturday afternoon. Jeff Spiegel, longtime sports anchor from ABC 3340, host of The Zone, and host of the new EOG Wrap, end-of-game wrap on Saturday nights, which is an awesome show. With us now to talk some Bama, Tennessee, Auburn, Missouri as well. Good morning, Jeff.
Gary, when's the last time you smoked a good cigar? You probably smoked one a few minutes ago, didn't you?
Well, I don't like to when I'm on the air. You know what I mean? So, listen, I'm one of those, about once a year guys. I'm not a regular cigar smoker. I do love the mansion. I love coming hanging out. It's beautiful. The decor is incredible. Not a regular cigar smoker, but certainly hoping like everybody else that I get to light one up on Saturday afternoon. What about you?
Well, that's an incredible tradition. And, it's something that certainly Alabama has enjoyed, smoking them in the past. My dad smoked everything except for the illegal stuff. He smoked cigarettes, he smoked pipe, he smoked cigars, and always liked the smell of a really good, nice cigar. But, smoking hasn't been something that I've done a lot of, but, certainly appreciate the people who do.
I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Exactly. Feel the same way. Do you think Alabama fans are going to be smoking them Saturday afternoon? Well, Saturday evening, I guess, around 6 o'clock or so, Central Time?
I really do. I have a good feeling about this game. I mean, I think, I think Alabama, as much as people were in angst over only beating South Carolina by 2 points, the other day, I think Alabama's got a team that can go in there and win in Knoxville. I think Tennessee is struggling, in many aspects of their offense. I think Alabama's defense can go in there and create some problems for Nico. And then I think it's going to be one of those games that's just going to, it's going to be in the defense's hands. And, I think, but certainly I think Jalen Milroe is going to be able to make some things, happen. But I think I've been impressed with Tennessee's defense, this year and the way they've played. So I think it's going to be a challenge, for Milroe and those guys. But I think Alabama's defense is going to make a couple of big plays in this game. And I think Alabama is going to win by double digits.
Wow. I've got Bama winning by 4. But, you said something about Iamaleava. He's been rattled the last couple of weeks. How big a key is it, Jeff, that they don't let Alabama's defense, which has been sketchy at times, doesn't let him get comfortable in the pocket, that gets after him, pressures him, and maybe rattles him the same way he looked against Arkansas and against Florida?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's a big key. And I think Alabama did a good job of that Saturday. I mean, the difference in that ball game was after Milroe threw the interception in the end zone, and South Carolina had that momentum, and then bang, one play later, Alabama makes the big play, and LT Overton recovers the fumble, and then Milroe punches it in, and then that gave Alabama a lead, they didn't relinquish. And that was huge. I mean, if they don't get that play, then Alabama's in serious, serious trouble. So I was happy with the pressure that Alabama put on the quarterback. And I think, are they a work in progress on defense? You would absolutely agree that they are. But how many football teams can say the same thing? That no football team in America has arrived at this point of the season. So everyone's trying to make some adjustments to try to figure out, where they want to be by the time the playoff and the conference championship games and all that roll around.
For Alabama, the loss to Vanderbilt, although give Vanderbilt credit, I mean, they could be undefeated, and they followed it up. They proved that they're not a one-trick pony. They went to Lexington last Saturday night, got that win. But you lose to Vanderbilt on the road, and then you fight and scratch to get a win over South Carolina. But you do get the W. You say you think you're going to win Saturday afternoon in Knoxville. What do you see big picture for this team, Jeff? Do you think this is a playoff team? Do you think this is a team that still has a shot to get to Atlanta for the SEC championship game?
Well, I think this is a playoff team. I think that certainly they've shown that. There were some flaws against Vanderbilt, but look, you take away 2 turnovers against Vanderbilt and they win that game. They're undefeated. So, when Alabama goes out and they play a clean game, and there were some things, in the South Carolina game that kind of the one play that really just stands out to me was at the end of the half. I think they were too aggressive there at the end of the first half. Throwing the pass. My stance was, get to the locker room. South Carolina's got all that momentum. And, get to the locker room. Got a fire truck coming by here, Gary. But, yeah. But I mean,
hopefully not coming to your house.
No, not at all. But no, I think this is a team where the ceiling is, a college football playoff appearance. I think there's so many. Yeah, to me, Texas is clearly the number 1 team right now. And then you look at 2 through 14, and there are just a bunch of teams who are just kind of even. I think one thing that the NIL and transfer portal have done is we originally thought it was going to make the rich richer, but it's really created some parity in this league and in this country, college football. And so every week's a struggle. And when you win a game in the SEC, you should be smiling when you're Kalen DeBoer and you leave the field, because these victories are hard earned, I believe we need to appreciate, the victories more than maybe we appreciated that one Saturday.
I'm with you 100%. Yeah, if you're mad at the coach for smiling when they win a game, then ooh, you're tough cookie. Let's get to Auburn and Missouri, because Auburn gets to the bye, 2-4 overall, 0-3 in the SEC. But I've talked to some people down there that say, hey man, this has been a reset button. This is still a good football team. I've talked to some Auburn people that say they think they're going to show that on Saturday afternoon in Como against a Missouri team that got shellacked by Texas A&M. How do you feel about it, Jeff? You think Auburn's got a shot to go into Columbia and win on Saturday?
Well, I think Auburn can go into Columbia and win on Saturday. I think they can go into Lexington and win on Saturday. I mean, I think those two road games are very, very winnable. I mean, I think Missouri certainly showed some flaws, against A&M. To me, it told me more about A&M and what a football team they have than what a bad team Missouri has. But Cook and Burden are certainly, terrific players. But I think my stance has been that Auburn's not a terrible football team. I mean, they had all those turnovers, in the first, 5 games, but they're cleaning that up. And I think Peyton Thorne is playing better. So I think this is a team that went in and they played Georgia tough early, but I think they can do the same. They can go to Missouri, and I think they can get a win there. And if they get a win there, there's nothing to say that they can't get a win at Kentucky and then get some serious momentum when they come back home for a 3-game homestand.
Will be interesting, because I kind of feel the same vibe, and you got to give I guess the Auburn coaching staff credit for a team that is 0-3 in the league and 2-4 overall, that people are still engaged and believing that they can do it. But let's be honest, to do what you're talking about, Jeff, they need to win that game on Saturday. You get to 2-5 and 0-4 in the league, and turning it around, it's not going to be as good a proposition, right?
No, exactly right. And Hugh Freeze has been walking that tightrope where he's trying to encourage fans that, look, he's getting some recruiting classes together and he's building for the future. But then again, you have a lot of fans who, I like celebrating touchdowns as much, if not more, than celebrating recruiting classes. So you got to win for me right now. So, there's different fan bases feel kind of different ways here at Auburn. There's some folks who are excited about 4 and 5 stars signing, but there are people who are not happy with a 2 and 4 start. So, yeah, I mean, he needs to win some ball games for sure. And going to Missouri and going to Kentucky and winning those 2 games, I mean, would be big for him. It'd certainly take a lot of heat off for sure.
All right, Jeff, let's get to Georgia and Texas. This is as big as Alabama, Tennessee is. This is the national game. I mean, you got the top-rated Longhorns welcoming in Georgia. Ranked number 5. I don't think Georgia's ever played in Austin. I'd have to look it up to be for sure. But, and for Georgia, which has not lost a regular season game to anybody other than Alabama in like 3 years, this is a chance for them to go ahead and establish again that they are still the team to beat nationally. What a matchup. How do you see this game playing out?
Well, I think it's going to be a really, really tight game. My opinion is, I think Georgia goes in there and they get it done. I think Texas has shown that, and they've proven they're the number 1 team in the league. What they did against Oklahoma was great, but Oklahoma's offense is just non-existent, and even the Texas win over Michigan doesn't look as good as it did, a few weeks ago. So this is a game where Texas has a lot to prove, but I think Georgia has a lot more to prove. The loss to Alabama kind of reduced their margin of error, so they got to go in there and they got to get a big win on the road. And I think, we've seen Georgia win a lot of these games before, where they come in and they go into hostile territory and they come out with a victory. And I just have a good feeling about the Dogs, Gary. I have a good feeling that the Dogs are going to go in there and get it done there in Austin.
All right, Jeff, before we close it out, I want to ask you what the heck is going on with UAB. When you look at their season, they beat Alcorn State, haven't won since. In fact, the most competitive game they've played, interestingly enough, since the win over Alcorn was the game at Arkansas. But gave up 71 to Tulane, got beat 44-10 by Army. They go to South Florida on Saturday. Now, I have sensed, listening to Trent Dilfer, that he's kind of understanding now where this has gotten to. He's looks like he's trying to kind of be a little kindler and a little gentler. Although I think he ticked off more UAB fans when he said that they knew this was going to be a rebuild situation. And I think UAB fans were like, well, really, this wasn't a rebuild situation. This was a pretty good program when you came in here. You got Kevin Skarbinski publicly calling for the firing of Mark Ingram and Trent Dilfer. It's a mess. Do you see any way out? Of course, the bottom line is, he's still got a pretty nice salary, not SEC standards, but 7 figures. And I don't know if UAB's got the money to buy him out. Where does all this stand? Where is it headed? And do you think UAB will win another game this season?
Well, this has been a failed experiment. I mean, it was an outside the box hire, and it's failed. And I'll tell you one thing, a couple of things going against Trent Dilfer right now is, number one, the guy who's coaching ULM is 5-1 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Benson is 5-1. He was the interim head coach at UAB. Mark Ingram could have promoted him, done the easy thing, promoted Bryant to head coach, but he didn't. Instead, he went out and he hired a high school coach to coach UAB. And number two, former UAB Blazer Roddy White, one of the most well-respected players in UAB history, comes out and tweets on Saturday, you know what, this football team just doesn't look interested in playing football. And so that's always a telltale sign when former players, get on social media and they see what everybody else sees. But it tends to have a lot more credence, if a former player who kind of laid it on the line every Saturday like Roddy did comes out and says something like that. So a lot of stuff going against Trent Dilfer, and I don't think he's going to be able to overcome it.
Wow, crazy situation. All right, Jeff, great stuff. I know, like I said, I anchored my show Saturday night and then was able to, because the game went so long, Ole Miss and LSU, I was able to get home and watch your end-of-game wrap. So Saturday night it's the ELG wrap, and then Sunday night it's the Zone. So you're a busy man on the weekends, but a lot of good television.
Yeah, absolutely. I really do appreciate it. The Zone Sunday night at 10:30, and then EOG after Georgia, Texas, and appreciate those compliments, Gary, and I hope you have a great rest of the week, great weekend.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right.
All right, it's 10:47. Gary Harris Show live from the Cigar Mansion, R&R Cigars, 2703 6th Street. Get on by and see us. I've only qualified 3 people for the Dwight Yoakam tickets, but we're still going to give them away at the end of the show. And we're going to be back and visit with Chad Sears, Mark Sears' dad, about a basketball camp this weekend. Stay with us on the Gary Harris Show.
On the next Inside the Locker Room with Coach Wimp Sanderson and Barry Sanderson.
Tune in Friday, 7:30. Associate Commissioner Garth Glissman will join us. We'll talk to Garth about SEC football and basketball. Also in the second hour, Coach Sonny Smith will join us. We'll also take your phone calls throughout the show and get you ready for Alabama and Tennessee, brought to you by Yellowwood. If it doesn't have that,
within 30 miles. And if they don't have what you need, they'll get it. Cypress Supply, 2036 62nd Avenue, Tuscaloosa. Cypress-supply.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather stays dry through early next week. Lots of sunshine today, the high 67. Clear tonight, the low 42. Tomorrow sunny with a high of 71. And the weekend looks good. Lots of sunshine Saturday and Sunday. Highs between 73 and 76. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 56 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
The flagship station for Alabama Crimson Tide sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, it's 10:51. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show, wrapping it up from R&R Cigar Mansion, downtown, 2703 6th Street in Tuscaloosa. But before we close it out, we're going to visit with Chad Sears. And his son is only one of the best college basketball players in the country, Mark Sears. Of course, preseason CBS National Sports Player of the Year, Final Four participant from a year ago, and is also going to be running the Mark Sears Youth Camp coming up at Alabama Hoops on 798 Montclair Road in Birmingham. Boys to girls, grades K through 12, 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. for the K through 5th boys and girls, and then 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. for the 6th graders through the 12th graders. Chad, good morning, man. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you guys for having me.
Well, good to have you. Tell us more about this Mark Sears Youth Camp, because I know if I'm a young basketball player and I got a chance to hoop it up with Mark Sears, I'm going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, it'll be a camp that we'll be having in Birmingham on this coming Sunday. And what it'll be is it'll be a bunch of guys that's coming together that's imparted into Mark, and he'll be able to give back to the youth and that the kids have a chance to learn what he's been taught.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned Sunday. I think I had said Saturday, but it is Sunday because you don't want to be going up against the Alabama-Tennessee football game, that's for sure. Yeah, he's learned a lot, and I've talked to some people that have been to his camps, and they say the thing about Mark is that, yeah, there's a lot of instructors, there's college coaches, high school coaches, but he gets involved with the camp participants in a way that really adds to the experience for them, Chad. That's what I've been told, and I want you to expand on that, how Mark is really actively involved in this camp.
Yes, from a young age, he's really loved the game of basketball. And when it comes to basketball, he loves being around kids, and he loves being an example for the youth. And I think the kids kind of like him as well. Just the main part is he just loves being around kids and imparting into the young kids.
Again, folks, that's this Sunday, October 20th, Alabama Hoops, 798 Montclair Road in Birmingham. Open to boys and girls, grades K through 12, 2 sessions, 12:30 to 2:30 for the K through 5th, and 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. for the 6th through the 12th graders. Chad, tell us how people, if they are interested in having their child attend, how they can get signed up.
Okay, they can go to Campio.com and go to youth basketball camps, and they'll be able to sign up. Registration will end. I think we're going to end registration on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. And if we have spots available on Sunday morning for registration, we will take them in. But the spots, they're limited. They're very limited. We got quite a few kids that's registered, but they can go to Campio.com and go to youth basketball camps, and they can register there.
Yeah, please take advantage of this opportunity, because once Mark gets into the season, he'll have other priorities. And I can't let you get off the show without asking you about this team, what they accomplished last year, making the run to the Final Four. Mark entertained the possibility of going into the draft, chose to come back along with Grant Nelson, Latrell Wrightsell Jr., and now the table seems set, Chad, for another big-time run. But you and I both know it's hard to get to the Final Four once. Took Alabama a lot of time to do it. Going back to back is really going to be difficult. What do you see from this team?
Well, I see a bunch of guys that I think they like each other, like last year's team. But the key component is Coach Oates and his staff. Those guys, they do a really good job of getting the best out of his players. And as Coach Oates says, if they play defense and defend, the sky be the limit, because he's a genius of the offense. He will impart confidence in the guys, but the main thing is defense. If they play defense, I see no reason why they can't make it back to the Final Four and hopefully win the whole thing this year.
Yeah, I think that's what they're shooting for. Well, Chad, we appreciate your time, man. Thanks for jumping on, and good luck with the camp on Sunday.
All right, thank you guys for having me.
All right, Chad Sears. Yes, sir, Roll Tide. Chad Sears' son, Mark, putting on the Mark Sears Youth Camp Sunday in Birmingham. Again, go to CampioSports.com. That's CampioSports.com to sign up. Your child, as you said, spots are limited for Sunday at Alabama Hoops, 798 Montclair Road in Birmingham. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the Gary Harris Show, live from the R&R Cigar Mansion, 2703 6th Street, but keep it dialed in. We got Wyatt Fulton coming up live next, right here from R&R Cigars. Fowler's going to be here this afternoon. People are already smoking them. They're not waiting until Saturday. Smoke them if you got them on a Thursday morning here in Tuscaloosa. So stay tuned for Wyatt. I'll be live tomorrow morning, as will Wyatt, as part of Fridays at the Free. I'll be there at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning at Innisfree Irish Pub downtown. And so we're just having a big time this week, live on location. All right, thanks to Chase back in the studio. Appreciate you being patient with us when we lost power there for a few minutes, but thanks to Randy Starner, we got up and running. I guess we weren't down for more than 3 or 4 minutes. So thanks to Randy for his good work. All right, T-Town Sports Daily is coming up next. Have a great day, everybody. I'll talk to you again tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., the TGIF edition of the Gary Harris Show, live from Innisfree Irish Pub. T-Town Sports Daily, live from the R&R Cigar Mansion, coming up next.
Thank you for listening to